suppose I was an overnight 30-year success. In those early days as a young singer, it was hard graft and sometimes dangerous for a woman touring around cabaret venues and hotels late at night in Northern Ireland at the height of the Troubles. I'd quite a few hair-raising experiences. As a young news reporter, I did a live report from the centre of Belfast involving a petrol tanker packed with £500 of IRS MTEX, and later that day I was sat with the bomb disposal expert's wife as we watched him defuse the bomb, all of it happening on live TV. And of course he saved the centre of Belfast from being blown asunder. Later, I also reported on the bombing of the Abercorn restaurant explosion that tragically claimed the lives of 2 young women and injured over 130 people. Not exactly what you'd expect a 29-year-old working mother to be doing in 1969. Back then, it was much harder for women to not only break into the media, but any kind of prominent position. I guess it was a mixture of naivety, gumption, hard work, and being in the right place at the right time that landed me those early days at BBC Belfast and Ulster Television. They were hugely exciting times, as it was really the start of television as we know it today. It was all live broadcasts, high adrenaline, the seat of the pants action, but hugely exciting and the best training one could get. Even today, I'd much prefer to do a live show than a pre-recorded one, warts and all. In fact, I was the first woman to land her own nightly programme on Ulster Television, and later the first female to get her own daytime show on BBC Radio 2. Amazingly, in 1982, the BBC didn't even have a woman's toilet on the studio floor, which made for some interesting mid-news bulletin pee breaks. It's not that I ever saw myself as a women's rights trailblazer or someone who had to fight the gender gap. But if I help change perceptions in some small way, then that is certainly a bonus. I simply knew what I wanted and went for it. I've had incredible professional highs, but also terrible personal lows in terms of losing my beloved daughter Karen to breast cancer at just 41 years old. It not only completely tore the family apart, but landed me in the deepest, darkest black hole. Some days were so dark that I thought I'd never return to my former self. I genuinely thought I'd never laugh again. At the time, my youngest son Michael told me that it felt he had not only lost his sister, but his mother too. It was obviously also incredibly hard for my husband Stephen, but I was so consumed with grief that I was incapable of thinking about anybody else. Over a period of 3 years, I slowly dragged myself back to some semblance of normality. But more of that later. There are unforgettable memories from Hever Castle in Kent, which has become my spiritual home since I came over from Northern Ireland. Stephen and I had a real fairy tale wedding there in 1998. Karen and her husband Russ also married there in 1991. And then just 2 years ago, my older son Paul married the gorgeous Lisa there, and she has brought so much to our lives. Tragically, of course, St. Peter's Church in Hever Castle is also where Karen is buried, so, as you can imagine, there's a real mixture of emotions when we recall all these memories over a 20-year period. In the best man speech at Paul's wedding, Karen's husband Russ said, "Now we only need Michael to tie the knot here, and we'll have 4 weddings and a funeral." We often visit Hever Church at the weekend, where we tend to Karen's graveside, and then have lunch together in the King Henry VIII pub opposite, which has been an inn since 1597. Hever has become an incredibly special place for us. Nowadays, I live a happy and contented life in Sevenoaks, Kent, with Stephen and my 2 gorgeous Cavalier King Charles Spaniels. I'm still broadcasting on average 4 days a week, and I've just been recommissioned by the BBC to make several television programmes over the next 2 years, which will take me up to almost 80. That's hard to write, let alone